जय कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. ग्रंथ हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र की, श्री श्री गौर निताय की, समवेत भक्तवृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 12, entitled The Perfect Society, the Four Spiritual Classes. Text number 10. So, we'll first read word to word meaning, then I'll read the shloka. So, please repeat after me word to word meaning. Kalpayitva, ascertaining positively. Atmana, by self-realization. Yavad, as long as. Abhasam, reflection of the original body and senses. Idam, this, the body and senses. Ishvaraha, completely independent of illusion. Dvaitam, duality. Tavat, for that long. Na, does not. Viramet, see. Tataha, by such duality. He, indeed. Asya, of the person. Viparyayaha, counteraction. Kalpayitvatmana yavad abhasam idam ishvaraha dvaitam tavanna viramet tato hyasya viparyayah. Kalpayitvatmana yavad abhasam idam ishvaraha dvaitam tavanna viramet tato hyasya viparyayah. Kalpayitvatmana yavad abhasam idam ishvaraha dvaitam tavanna viramet tato hyasya viparyayah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanavind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. As long as a living entity is not completely self-realized, as long as he is not independent of the misconception of identifying with his body, which is nothing but a reflection of the original body and senses, he cannot be relieved of the conception of duality, which is epitomized by the duality between man and woman. Thus, there is every chance that he will fall down because his intelligence is bewildered. Please repeat after me. As long as the living entity is not completely self-realized, as long as he is not independent of the misconception of identifying with the body which is nothing but a reflection of original body and senses, he cannot be relieved of the misconception of duality, which is epitomized by the duality between man and woman. Thus, there is every chance that he will fall down because his intelligence is bewildered. Purport. Here is another important warning that a man must save himself from attraction to woman. Until one is self realized, fully independent of the illusory concept of material body, the duality of man and woman must undoubtedly continue. But when one is actually self realized, this distinction ceases. विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव स्वपाके च पंडितः समदर्शिनः. The humble sage, by the virtue of true knowledge, seizes with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 18th verse. On the spiritual platform, a learned person does not only give up the duality of man and woman, but also gives up the duality of man and animal. This is the test of self realization. One must realize perfectly that the living being is spirit soul, but is testing various types of material bodies. One may theoretically understand this, but when one has practical realization, then he actually becomes a pandita, one who knows. Until that time, the duality continues, and the conception of man and woman also continues. In this stage, one should be extremely careful about mixing with women. No one should think himself perfect and forget the Shastric instruction that one should be very careful about associating even with his daughter, mother, or sister, not to speak of other women. Srila Madhvacharya cites the following shlokas in this regard. बहुत्वेनैव वस्तूनां यथार्थ ज्ञानम् उच्यते अद्वैतं ज्ञानम् इत्येतत् द्वैतज्ञानं तद् अन्यथा यथा ज्ञानं तथा वस्तु यथा वस्तुस्तथा मतिः नैव ज्ञानार्थयोर्भेदस् तत् एकत्व वेदनम्. Unity in variety is real knowledge, and therefore giving up variety artificially does not reflect perfect knowledge of monism. According to Achintya Bhedabhed philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are varieties, but all of them constitute one unit. Such knowledge is knowledge of perfect oneness. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय. वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तविंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, in this chapter, Narad Muni is describing about the 4 ashramas, and the brahmachari ashram's description is continuing. So, Here the symptoms of brahmachari have been, the duties of brahmacharis and the regulative principles he has to follow are being described. So as in the past few verses, the principle being delineated here is that a brahmachari should strictly refrain from associating with a woman. So as in the previous verse also, it was compared that the woman is like fire and man is like uh, butter. So as soon as there is a proximity of fire and butter, the butter is definitely going to melt, no matter if it is refrigerated also. Still it will melt. So no matter how much austerities or other symptoms a person might be following, if one associates with the opposite sex, then there is always a chance of agitation. And in continuation of that, here it is mentioned that as long as living entity is not completely self-realized, so uh, until one is at the Paramahansa stage, it is not possible that one will not be agitated by this association. As His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj writes from Prabhupada purpose only in his book Brahmacharya and Krishna Consciousness, how even among the assembly of sannyasis, as soon as a woman enters, then the consciousness changes. And he also quotes from these shlokas many places in the Brahmacharya and Krishna Consciousness, how until one is self-realized, one should not freely mix and one should be very careful. So one may ask why so much strict regulations have been enjoined in the scriptures. Because the purpose of human life is very special. The human life is meant for tapasya. As Lord Rishabdev says, Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhed yasmas brahma sokhyam tonantam. So human life is meant for tapasya, and Srila Prabhupada in one of his lectures says that tapasya begins with brahmacharya. So that is the first step towards tapasya, that one should follow the principles of brahmacharya, that is strictly abstaining from the opposite sex. And if one does not abstain from such association, then the consequences have also been very vividly described in our Shastras. Then Lord Rishabdev only described how with this association, how other things follow. Will that shloka? Janas mohoyam aham mameti. This starting? Pumsam striya mithuni bhavam etad tayor mitho hridaya ganthi ahur अतः ग्रहक्षेत सुत आप्तवित्ते जनस्य मोहयम aham mameti. So as soon as one will associate with woman by marriage, then already there is attraction between man and woman. When they associate, then hridaya granthi becomes even more tighter. So, and after that, then there is expansion. One meaning of the word stri is that one which expands. So as long as one accepts a woman, then the following things come. Ataha griha, then one needs a home. Then kshetra means land, because previously there was nothing like companies where one used to work and get salary and thus maintain his livelihood and family. So one needed to grow his own food, therefore land was required, not only home. Griha, kshetra, suta, then automatically there would be desire for a child. And apta, to maintain all this, and family is friendship apta, and vitta, to maintain all this one will require money also. So this is how the illusion intensifies. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. The concept of I and mine intensifies. The living entity here in the material world identifies himself with the material body and things related with the material body as his own. So this is the illusion created by the Lord's external energy. So as soon as a male and female unite, this illusion intensifies. Already we are under illusion. Most of the time we work, almost every time we work in the bodily consciousness that I am this body, and we work for the body. So when one associates with the opposite sex, then the illusion doubles up, because first one is identifying himself with the body, and then considering the body of that another person an object of his enjoyment. Thus his illusion even more intensifies. So when one is in such an illusioned state, then the purpose of human life, which was tapasya, one cannot execute, because one is entangled in all these things, acquiring money, maintaining family, and cultivating land for food. And thus the reason for which the human body was awarded by Lord, one completely misses out. And the nature of sense gratification is such that one is not able to see the passage of time. As soon as one is indulged in the sense gratification, he cannot realize how days and nights are passing, how years are passing, because he is completely absorbed in the thoughts of enjoyment, and he does not see how time is gradually approaching him to deride him of everything that he is working so hard to accumulate. And thus one is oblivious of the death which is impending. It may come at any time, and one completely forgets. So the one problem with sense gratification is that one completely forgets the passage of time, and another problem is that sense gratification though promises to give happiness, but actually it turns into misery. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the contact of the senses with the sense objects is the mother of all the miseries. Dukkha yonaya evate. So as soon as the senses come in contact with sense objects, so immediately there is pleasure. Today only in Bhagavad Gita we were reading how the Rajasic Sukh is that the pleasure we acquire by the contact of the senses with the sense objects, it is Amrita in the beginning, but in the Parinam, in the end, it turns out to be poison. Why poison? So yesterday Sriman Vasugosh Prabhu was very nicely explaining how if one indulges in sense gratification, then one will not care about the sinful activities. The what we say burning example for this is Ajamil. As soon as Ajamil brought prostitute in his home, he did not consider that what are his duties. He threw away his father, his chaste wife, and he indulged in all kind of sinful activities just to fulfill the desires of that prostitute. He cheated people, he did thievery, what all things he did, we can understand. So one forgets, one is not able to understand that how sinful activities are creating a ghastly future for him. And one will go into a Muda Yoni, like yesterday Sriman Vasugosh was telling them, one might get the body of a plant, and it's not a nice body. One has to stand in heat, in rain, and in cold. One cannot move. If somebody is cutting or firing bullet, cannot dodge or save himself. So such precarious condition one will enter if one is not regulated in the principles enjoined here of association with the woman. So ultimately the purpose of human life would be defeated. The human life was meant for something higher, but one utilizes it again in the animalistic propensities. So this point has been again and again emphasized in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Like in the first canto, Narad Muni instructs Vyasdev how human body is very special, and it should be engaged for that purpose which is not available even to Brahma or to an ant. The starting of the sloka is I'm just not able to recognize now. So that sloka tells that the sukha is easily available and dukkha is easily available by the due course of time. One should not endeavor a co-vidha, an intelligent person endeavors for such thing which is not even available to Brahma. Nalabhyate. Okay, I'm not able to recognize the shloka. It's in first canto. So one should aspire for that aim. So human life awards us an special opportunity. So one Maharaj was giving an example that human life is like gold, and if you go to market and get 2 kg of brinjal, bangan, by selling gold, then it would be very intelligent. Gold is very expensive commodity, and you are giving gold just for some 2 kgs of brinjal, so that is foolishness. So similarly, human body is meant for a higher purpose, and if we utilize it for the same sense gratification which is available to even animals, then it would be a missed opportunity, and one will have to pay off for the missed opportunity. Like if one does not utilizes the opportunity well, then the opportunity is taken away. This human life is compared to a Benz car, and animal life is less like a tractor. So tractor is meant for plowing. So if somebody gives, suppose a rich person goes to his village and gives his friend Mercedes Benz car, and gives him, and Benz goes back to the city, and after a few months he comes and he sees that his friend is using the Benz car for plowing the field. So how would he feel? That, oh, I had given him such a nice car and he's utilizing it for this purpose. Then he'll take back the car and give him a tractor. Similarly, Lord has given us this human body for self-realization, for understanding what is our relationship with Lord, and how we are again and again suffering in this material world, and how to get out of this suffering. But instead of utilizing this human body for solving these questions, if we again utilize it for the sense gratification, then that is tantamount to using that Mercedes Benz for plowing the field. So material nature will take away the human body and give us animal body, just like a tractor, which is meant for sense gratification. Animals don't have to consider these rules of separation between male and female, just like we see in the street. A dog can freely unite with many she dogs. He doesn't have to care about these Vedic injunctions, and he is not even incurred by any sin also. But with human life, we have got special facility, and with facility comes responsibility. So if we don't utilize the facility righteously, then we have to be ready for the future consequences as well. So thus, as human life is very rare and it has a special purpose, therefore again and again the Shastras emphatically emphasize on this point, that how this principle of brahmacharya is of utmost importance. Even for the grastha, before entering grastha ashram, he must practice this brahmacharya ashram. And Prabhupada says that a proper grastha in true sense is also a brahmachari. Prabhupada defines that there are two kinds of brahmacharis. One is Naishtika brahmachari, who for the lifelong he follows the vow of celibacy and does not mixes with women. And a grastha is also a brahmachari if he strictly follows the instructions given by the spiritual master. That is, even for procreating, he first takes permission from his spiritual master and then unites and procreates. Then such grastha is also a brahmachari. Prabhupada is saying in one of his lectures. I think in the first verse of this sloka only Prabhupada is saying like this. So brahmacharya is of utmost importance. Without this is like the foundation of the building of human life. If the foundation is not good, then the building can never stand upright. So if these principles are not taught in the beginning of the life, then the future ashrams he will not able to succeed, as we are seeing in today's scenario. Since because of the modern education system, the principle of brahmacharya is not being taught to the boys. and thus they don't have a high character, high moral values, they don't have determination, even they suffer from health consequences as well. And as they enter the Grahastha ashram, they don't turn out to be good Grahasthas also. And the result is that there is so much divorce increasing even in India, because the Vedic culture has been compromised with, the principles have been compromised, and the society is suffering the consequences also. Therefore, again and again, there is emphasis on how one should completely separate from, as far as possible, one should stay away from opposite sex, and the contact should be minimal. One of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj writes in his Brahmacharya and Krishna consciousness how the contact of a man with a woman only should be for the sake of service, and it should be very short, to the point, it should be polite, and there should be no argument. In this way, one should try to avoid this. And the consequences of what happens if one does not follow has been very vividly described in Bhagavatam. So I am reading from Bhagavatam 3rd Canto, chapter 31. Title of the chapter is Lord Kapila's instruction on the movement of the living entity. So here the consequences of not following these injunctions have been described. So on verse 32, Lord Kapil Dev is instructing, if therefore the living entity again associates with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before. So this is the thing. If one again goes in the pursuits, two pursuits Lord Kapila is saying, the pursuit for sex enjoyment and gratification of the palate. So actually, in one of his books, Transcendental Teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada writes that one is stuck up in Grahastha family because of only two pleasures. One is the pleasure of genitals and another is the pleasure of tongue. And because of these two pleasures, a Grahastha is bound up in the ties of material world, just like a spider, just like a silkworm is tied, he wraps himself around the cocoon, and he has to work very hard to come out then. So similarly, a person who does not regulate his associate with opposite sex, he becomes entangled in the complexities of material world, just like that silkworm, who by his own saliva entangles himself. Similarly, a person, if he does not regulate, then he is creating a future which is hellish for him. Why hellish? Because he will eventually break the regulative principle and indulge in sinful activities, and then the hell is awaiting him. So further, Lord Kapila is instructing that he becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all such opportunities. So this is 33rd verse, that all the saintly qualities, Shamo, Damo, Satyam, Shaucham, Daya, Monam, all these qualities are lost if one does not carefully follow this principle of carefully mixing with the opposite sex. So as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, these Devi qualities, divine qualities are very conducive for attaining liberation. But just by association with women, what happens? One loses all these qualities. As we saw in the case of Ajamil. Ajamil was a perfect Brahmana in his childhood, in his early youth. He had all the qualities of Brahmana, Shama, Dama. He was Shrutidhar. He had heard the scriptures from the authorities. He was sense controlled. He respected elders, free from false ego. And just by association with that prostitute, he gave up all those qualities. And he became a shameful person. And in the end, Yamdut came and they wanted to drag him to the hellish condition. So this is the consequence. And further, Lord Kapila is saying, the infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from the attachment, the infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. So again, very graphic warning Lord is giving, that the infatuation means the illusion is caused by any other attachment to any other sense object is not as complete as resulting from attachment to a woman. Such is the illusion created by this attachment, and the attachment to women, also to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. Both are very dangerous. Not just here, Kapil Dev is instructing that attachment to women or to the persons who are attached to women, both are very dangerous. So this instruction has also been told by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his personal behavior. When devotees were asking Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Maharaj Pratap Rudra is very good devotee, he wants to have your darshan, so please allow him to take your darshan. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was again and again desisting that I cannot, he is a Raja, he is a king. So he is a Vishayi, how can I associate being a sannyasi with a Vishayi? So again and again devotees were emphasizing, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said from Shastra how the association of women or the persons who are attached to women, how dangerous it might be. So the shloka goes like, Nishkinchanasya bhagavad bhajanonmukhasya param param jigamisham bhavasagarasya sandarshanam yoshitam Vishayinam atha yoshitam cha ahanta hanta vishabhakshana topya sadhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that it is better to take poison and die for the person who is nishkinchanasya bhagavat bhajanon mukhasya, who has nothing to do with material world and his goal is to go back to Godhead. For such person, it is better to take poison and die than sandarshanam vishayinam atha yoshitam cha, to associate with a worldly person or with a woman. He is saying it's better to take poison and kill himself. So such is the danger. So we have to take these instructions very seriously, because an intelligent person should hear and understand rather than experimenting and understanding. When Maharaj was giving an example how we have heard that poison is dangerous. How many of us have tasted poison? Nobody will. Because just by hearing one understand that if I take poison that I'll be dead, because he has heard so. Similarly, the instructions of the Shastras regarding the association of men and women are also to be taken like that. Otherwise, one will have to learn through the harder course, which is to experience, and then it will be a waste of time, and also sometimes one doesn't learn even after experiencing also. And further Lord Kapila is saying, at the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind. So this is a graphic example how even Lord Brahma became infatuated and he ran after her own daughter. Therefore, Prabhupada writes in the purport also that even with his daughter, mother or sister, not to speak of other men, one should not privately associate. One should be very careful in association. So again and again Shastras are emphatically saying, and the consequences also being delineated, because generally when we are in the condition when we have to when the temptation comes, then this meditating on the consequences can help us take a back step. At that time one may not be able to recognize that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, because when the opposite sex, the object of sense gratification, come in front of us, the intelligence is bewildered. One is not able to understand this theory that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, unless one is a Paramhansa. He is free from the three gunas. One will surely get agitated. But if we meditate on the consequences of association, then one will not at least physically indulge in the activity. One will take a back step and follow the principle. So again, Lord Kapila is saying that just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. So such a sharp warning Lord is giving, that just try to understand the mighty strength of Maya in the shape of woman. So for a woman, similarly, a man is also a shape of Maya, as further would be described by Lord Kapila. So the point is being mentioned is that just by mere movement of her eyebrows, she can she can keep under her control the greatest conqueror. And in the Bhagavatam and in the near history also, we see how the great king of Rome, Julius, how he was controlled by Cleopatra because of her beauty. And similarly in Bhagavatam we see Muchukunda is praying to Lord Krishna, how graphically he is saying that although I was conqueror of the whole world, I had so much army, so much opulence, so many queens, and everybody used to offer their obeisances to me. But when I entered the palace, I was just a plaything in the hands of my queens. Why? Because of uncontrolled senses. So one becomes a plaything in the hands of women if one is not sense controlled. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and he realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scriptures to be gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Gateway to hell. Kamam, Krodam, Tatha, Lobam, Tasmat Etat Trayam Tejes. So Lord Krishna is saying that how these three are gateway to hell. So one of the devotee was saying in a joke that Prabhupada wrote one book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. So he was saying in his class that if one freely mixes with women, then it is easy journey to hellish planets. So such dangerous warning he was giving. So woman is created by the woman created by Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. So in the Bhagavatam also, King Muchukunda also gives this example, how sometimes a well may dry off and it may be covered by dry grass, or some grass may grow over it, and poor animal in search of food may step over that grass, and because that well is dry, he will fall down, and in the jungle nobody will come to save him, and thus he will die. Similarly, if one is not careful in this regard of association with the opposite sex, then one will also fall down in this well of material world. So Prahlad Maharaj is also instructing how this is the Andhakupa. This, for the little pleasure, one may fall into this Andhakupa where it is very impossible without the help of pure Vaishnavas to come out. So such graphic description has been given. Okay, and then Lord is saying that a living entity who as a result of attachment to woman in his previous life has been endowed with the form of woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material asset. A woman therefore should consider her husband, her house, and her children to be the arrangement of the external energy of Lord for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. So Lord is saying how a person in the female body must have been a woman in his previous body also, because of the attraction he has got this body, and for him the husband is also a form of Maya, is a form of death for him, if one is not properly situated in the principles of Krishna consciousness. So such vividly, in such a vivid way, Shastras describe the consequences of not following this principle, because this world is told to be Maithunagar, the where the soul is bound up by the shackles of sex life. And if one has to break these shackles, then the only way is to take shelter of the Lord. Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Because this illusion, although I am discussing, but when the object of the sense gratification come, because we are not self-realized, we are not practiced, then again the theoretical knowledge goes to back, and our past habits, because of our past life, what we have been practiced, that pura abhyas comes up in the mind, and such thoughts come. So the way to come out of this illusion is by the mercy of the Lord. And the mercy of the Lord comes when we follow His instructions. So we have been bound here in this material world because of Ichha and Dvesh to the Lord. So the mercy of the Lord will come again to us when we dovetail our desires, instead of for our sense gratification, for the service of the Lord. And thus we engage lovingly in the service of the Lord. Then when the Lord is pleased, and when He bestows His mercy upon us, then this wheel of illusion might be removed from our mind, and we might not fall down as we will reach a perfected stage. So the way is by getting the mercy of Lord, by taking shelter of the Lord. And in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, Lord is saying that param dishtva nivartandate. So one has to develop a higher taste. Then only one can overcome this strong illusion of Maya. And Yamunacharya explains how so many past acharyas have gained the mercy of the Lord, and they are showcasing how they are not at all attracted by this illusory form of the Lord's energy, and they are fixed in the devotional service. So Yamunacharya famously quotes, Yad avadi mama chetah Krishna padarvinde Nava Nava Rasa Dhamne Rantum Asid Tadavadi Batanari Sangame Smarre Mane Shushtu Bhavati Mukha Vikara Shushtu Nishtivanamcha. So when my mind is thinking about the lotus feet of the Lord, Nava Nava Rasa Dhamne, I am enjoying newer and newer mellows. Tadavati Batanari Sangame Smarre Mane. And when at that time the thoughts of opposite sex come to his mind, then his lips are quivering in distaste and he is spitting at the thought. So such position is possible only by the mercy of the Lord. Otherwise, a general living entity is just enjoying the illusion, and he is not able to see how this illusion is actually cause of his bondage and his suffering. And this illusion is so strong, like in one of the lecture, Prabhupada was telling that how a living entity is so adamant. Shastras again and again say that this world is Dukhalayam, and how lust, anger, greed are our enemies. But still, a living entity again and again tries to stay here in the material world and tries to enjoy. So he quotes an example how there was a fight between two persons. Fight was on the topic that what is superior, a knife is superior, or a, what do you call it, kenchi, scissor, which is superior. So there was word fight first, and then the fight intensified so much that there was punching, and one strong person of the two took that another person and threw him in the river, and that person was drowning. And when he was drowning, he was doing like this. That scissor is superior to knife. So Prabhupada says the example that the living entity is like that. He is again and again kicked and whipped by Maya, and he is getting so much suffering in this body. And again Shastras and Guru and Vaishnavas are warning. Still the living entity does not pay any heed. He is mad after enjoyment. So the only way possible is by the mercy of the Vaishnavas and the Lord, so that we may come out of this illusion one day. So I pray to you that this topic was very lofty, although I talk such big things. Please give me your blessings that I can also follow these instructions of the Shastra. Hare Krishna. Any question or comment? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की, संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि।